Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Isaac here. Today, we are going through this assortment of Almar SERE knives. Now, the Almar SERE knife was introduced back in the 1980s in a collaboration with Colonel Nick Rowe, who was Army Special Forces in Vietnam and captured by the Viet Cong in 1963, just before Halloween that year, and was imprisoned for 5 years and eventually escaped and made his way to freedom. Now, survival in that type of situation is a bit different than your average getting lost out on a day hiking trip. So Colonel Nick Rowe eventually founded the Army SERE School and became its chief instructor. SERE standing for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. I think I might have switched around those E's a little bit, but the words are in there. So this folding knife here at the top, this is the one that was approved for instruction in Army SERE School back in the 1980s. It's made Seki, Japan, with AM6 steel, and it's got a 4 1/4 inch blade, some micarta handle, the steel bolster, and I guess this is actually referred to as a front lock, since the lock here is towards the front of the knife. I have typically called all knives like this back locks because it's on, like the back of the knife, but back lock would be, back here like the Buck 110, and in the middle would be more of it would be called a mid lock, like a lot of cold steel triad models, and towards the front, I guess it's called a front lock. But you got Almar's name here, and that is his logo. Almar was the son of Chinese immigrants and was Green Beret Special Forces man himself. Went on some deployments in Southeast Asia in the early 1960s, maybe late 1950s. Now this, I mentioned 4 1/4 inch blade. You can imagine, that steel construction, it's a bit heavy. This knife weighs over 11 ounces, and you don't just carry this around in your pocket. So this knife, it comes with a leather belt sheath, and this particular one comes wrapped in camo. It's pretty dang old cool. Now, when you're out there, you may need to sharpen up your knife. So this also comes with a sharpening stone. It's a good sized stone, at least as long as the blade, I'd say. Hair longer. Pretty cool. This is a highly collectible knife. Not many still have the stone, so I'm lucky to have that as part of my collection. Now, it was said, when this was created for the Army, a lot of guys will ditch their main web gear, chest rig or whatever that may have their fixed blade knife on, but this knife was made for them to wear on the belt of their pants, which hopefully would not come off. Now, these knives were manufactured into the 1990s. Not sure exactly when they stopped, but eventually they did, and now they're highly collectible. No idea what year this one was made in. I don't know if there's any designating marks, but it is awesome. Awesome. Almar calls this a Talon style blade. You can see it's, it's thick back here and tapers down to that nice point. If we get that to focus a little better there for you. Now, all of the blades on the table are shaped like that. So let's take a look as we go further in the evolution of the Almar SERE knife. My dog's over here crying a little. This is the Almar SERE 2000, which I'm not sure what year it was introduced, but my guess would be the year 2000. And you can see that same style blade. And this is also made in Japan. And this is VG10 steel. Now, Almar himself passed away in 1992, pretty unexpectedly, and still a relatively young man, only about 50 or so. But a friend of his, Gary Fadden, I guess bought the company from Mrs. Marr and took over and kept making knives in Seki, Japan until, well, you'll see. Now, this knife was touted as one of the world's strongest tactical folders. Look at the liners here, pretty thick. Pretty good lockup there. And VG10, solid steel, great ergonomics on the handle. Got this nice little cutout here for extra finger grip. And the handle really provides a natural finger guard, which the original one did as well. So eventually, Mr. Fadden sold Almar knives. It was purchased in 2019 by a new company. And they released a new line of knives, now manufactured in China, but they made them much more affordable. Everybody can afford the Almar SERE these days. The original one, I didn't mention before, the one that's in the belt sheath here, this was the first production folding knife to sell for $100. Now, think about inflation, $100 40 years ago doesn't go as far as $100 today. Even some people out there would still hesitate to spend $100 on a pocket knife. Now, this one commemorates the 40th anniversary of Almar Knives as a company. And they call this their dragon scales on the handles here. This particular blade is D2 steel. Pretty solid steel, found in a lot of good priced knives. And they updated it more for the new things. They gave it a flipper tab and assisted opening. And it's got the same handle shape, great ergonomics, and that familiar talon blade shape. So D2 steel, solid. They also come in HCR13 MOV steel, which even cost a little bit less, I think usually around $32. This is the mini Almar SERE 2020. It has a 3-inch blade as opposed to 3.6 on the one you just saw, as well as the SERE 2000 you saw before that. Now, they have been making mini versions for many years. There's even this is a 3-inch blade. There's even a 3-inch bladed version of the original SERE knife. So they've always made them a little bit smaller because not everybody likes a big knife, because the 3-inch blade can get a lot accomplished. Now, this one looks more like the SERE 2000. We got the green handle scales there. This is, I think, FRN. The SERE 2000 was G10, and we got the Almar logo there, and the model name and made in China. there on the back side. This particular knife is from the collection of Tom Ritter, and he kindly let me borrow this to check out. Another look there at that Talon style blade. And actually, I think this costs around $30. I mentioned the other one before. The bigger SERE costs around $40 in the 8CR13 steel. The D2 ones cost, we'll say anywhere from $40 to $60. But if you get them in D2 steel, I mean, you're pretty set, and you got a nice classic design from Almar Knives. Now, the last one here on the table is the latest iteration that's brand new for 2024. This is the Almar SERE T36. T, I believe, standing for Taiwan. So this is another update and upgrade. So SERE Taiwan. This is made in S35 VN steel. So definitely the best or highest grade steel that this knife has ever been made in. I hesitate to say best because that's all relative. Some people may like the AM6 or 8CR13 best because to them it's best because the 8CR is cheaper and easier to sharpen. Now this has G10, just like the SERE 2000. I think the other D2 models, they make D2 models, without the 40th anniversary. They have G10. That's also why they're a bit more expensive, not just the D2 steel. They have G10 instead of FRN, like the 8CR versions. So this one, the new SERE T36, has black G10, a black titanium nitride coated blade, S35VN. This is also new as well, jimping here on the liner lock. And they took away that finger groove that you'll see on the other iterations of the SERE. Not a big loss, I guess. It was interesting to have it there, but it's not really a necessity. So let's scoot those back over. This is one fine knife. You still got those nice thick liners to make this a strong tactical folder. Logo there. Now this one is also a flipper, just like the SERE 2020s, but it is different on this. You see jimping here, all sides. It's not assisted opening. It runs on ceramic bearings. So this is a pretty high quality knife, guys. And I've been carrying this a lot, using it. Touched up the edge a little bit last night on my Arkansas stones. It came very sharp. I've just been using it and loving it. Stay tuned for full review on this knife where we go out and cut some stuff. I just wanted to give you all a quick look at this collection of SERE knives from Almar. And I hope you enjoyed it and enjoyed that little bit of history at the beginning of the video that talks about these knives and Colonel Rowe. Colonel Rowe wrote a book about his experiences in Vietnam. So look that up. I'm currently reading it now. I think it's called 5 Years to Freedom. Look up the title and type in his last name, Rowe, R-O-W-E, on Amazon. Nick is actually his middle name. I forget what his first name is, but that's what he wrote the book under, his first name. not Nick. So look up his last name, Rowe, and 5 Years to Freedom on Amazon and get yourself that book. It's super interesting so far, and I'm only like 100 pages in, and we got a lot of time left on his captivity in Vietnam. He's just getting started where I am in the book. So again, stay tuned for more on this knife. I have done a full review on the SERE 2000. If you want to look that up, type in my name and Almar SERE 2000 on YouTube here, and you'll be sure to find my videos on this. So take it easy. Until next time, hope you enjoyed seeing the Almar SERE knives.